Sonia's indifference never ceased to amaze me. But most importantly, why was she so opposed to Yale?
John Blacksad? I think I owe you an apology.
Oh.
Do I know you? I don't seem to remember your face.
I know who he is. He's the
well,
bookie.
Maybe you remember my boys. I'm so sorry they wrinkled your suit. The thing is, they didn't know we shared a common goal. Bobby Yale. I want to find him and get to the bottom of this as much as you do, Mr. Blacksad. So please, kindly accept my invitation. Why not share our findings? Come on.
Of course. You don't mind me riding in this fancy car with a wrinkled suit, do you?
Aw, I think you look mighty dapper, Mr. Blacksad. Although, if those wrinkles were to rub off on me... I always play it nice and safe.
Wasn't gonna go any other way.
Thank you, Blacksad. You won't regret this. So let's cut to the chase. I need Bobby Yale to fight Stone. There's just too much money at stake. So, I'm offering you my help to find Yale. Let's work together.
What kind of help do you need?
A simple exchange of information. You're a good detective, and I, well, let's just say I have my own ways of making people talk.
All right, then. Let's work together.
I thought you'd be hard to convince, that you'd appeal to the moral high ground or something. Please, hear me out. Let's say I bet a beer that we find Yale in 3 days, and you bet a beer that we don't. In 3 days, one of us has to buy the other a beer. Is that so bad? We're simply two grown men using our money and free will to conduct a small private exchange. And most importantly, we're not hurting anyone. So, yeah, I run a gambling business. What's so bad about that?
I can't really say.
Well, I can. Nothing. But I'll tell you what is wrong. The way our government is ruining America. We live in a so-called free country. A place where honest people can make a living, provided they don't hurt anybody. We're not communists. Well, at least I'm not.
I would have never thought otherwise. As for me, I'm not either.
Ha! Well then, you see, we're all among friends. In any case, that's not my point. The government betrays our nation's values by passing communist laws that forbid an honest man like me to make a living without hurting a soul. And that, Mr. Blacksad, is just wrong. I'd even say it's unconstitutional. Do you get my point now?
All right. I get your point.
Ha! I knew you would. When the government passes these laws, there's only one legitimate weapon the people can wield. The same weapon that turned America into a great nation. Civil disobedience. So, as the proud American that I am,
we got everything
up
through writing.
You might have a point. In certain cases, civil disobedience is both right and duty.
Exactly. And when you hear just how I've transformed this business, you'll agree even more. I wasn't always a boss, you know. No, sir. I started at the bottom, when Lucky Blitzen ran the show. That good for nothing. His was a reign of terror, extortion, violence, you know, that sort of unpleasant thing. When I took over, I decided I'd make people want to do my bidding. Not out of fear, but out of gratitude. I decided to help people so they would help me.
That beating your thugs gave me was really helpful. Thank you so much.
Those poor bastards didn't even know you were a detective, that you were on our side.
Maybe at first. But when they tied me up and beat the socks off me, they knew very well who I was.
Seriously? That goes against my rules. Who was it?
Yeah, the two of them.
Bastards. But don't you worry. I'll have a talk with those two. I cannot tolerate this behavior. Please accept my apologies, Mr. Blacksad. As I said before, I like to help people so I can count on their gratitude. That applies to fellow partners like police or, in this case, a detective. I won't deny this business has its fair amount of violence, extortion, and casualties, but I'd rather leave that to my enemies. And you are not my enemy. And, it looks like we're here.
So play along, get them on your good side, find out what info. Apartment's no
Dale's
longer
apartment?
guarded.
I told you, I'm on your side. When you're done, you can honor our arrangement and share your findings with me. Or not. It's your call, Mr. Blacksad. I'll make sure you're suitably compensated. Colbert! Wilson!
See, I really know what I'm looking for. They don't. So there's a lot of info that I can pass by them.
The worst thing about O'Leary's boys dropping by isn't the beating, but the fact that I can't tell what's theirs and what's Yale's. Copy 1 of 3. Do you know any of his relatives?
Is his father Avenarius?
Avenarius? The boxer poet? Didn't he disappear 20 years ago? Seems like Bobby inherited something more than boxing skills from his father. Besides the tendency to vanish into thin air, of course. Nice chain. Why would you want such a big closet for so few clothes? Unless someone emptied it recently.
Her scarf.
A woman's fragrance. Almost angelical.
Bobby seems like a nice kid, but I barely know him.
That means she's been here recently. But why? What does Sweet Mary have to do with Yale, the murder suspect? Dunn must have punched the can while he was arguing with Yale. I guess that explains why he threatened to call the fight off. When I left, I told O'Leary I hadn't found a thing. The minute I was alone, I left for Mary's. But before all that, I took a small parting gift for her.